An average individual in any given day either touches, tap, or swipes their phone 2,600 times per day.
Good evening, everybody. It's so lovely to see all these lovely faces. Um, People from before, new faces, friends and community of the school. Lovely to see you all today. It's just so beautiful to be back. We haven't done a masterclass for ages. We've been creating podcasts and doing a whole lot of different things. And we're really, really looking forward to connecting with you today. And it's going to be great fun. We'll just give it a few more minutes as we let people in. If you can just keep yourself muted. Nice to see you, Cynthia. I haven't seen you in a while. Tess, nice to see you. Lorraine, Gina, wonderful. Um, if you want to just pop where you're from and say hi in the chat, we'd love to hear your voices. We're in for a lovely evening, and I'm going to start with the introductions as we allowing everybody in. So, first of all, my name is Cindy Crumbleholm. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the director of the International School of Intuition and Healing, and I'm really excited to be here tonight to talk about really one of the foundations and pillars of our school that actually can be life-changing when you get it right. And there are so many people who talk about learning to ground and protect the energy, but mainly grounding energy that has changed their life. And if there is one thing in the school that we do, and we do really well, it's that. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about energy tonight. So I'm going to introduce our panel tonight, and we're going to start off, and I'm going to just ask Dennis to introduce himself and then Soleil to introduce themselves. I know them well, but let's hear it from them. Welcome, Soleil and Dennis, and thank you for being here tonight.
Good. Thank you, Cindy. So I see a lot of our students are with us tonight as well, even some of our qualified graduates, which is really amazing to see. So thank you everyone for joining us. So basically, I'm a tutor with the International School of Intuition and Healing, and I tutor in the long-term energy management course, plus the healing course, plus foundations in spiritual development. So that's my role. And then there's a lot of interaction with mentoring students and with tutors and everything that Cindy provides for us. So that's myself in a nutshell. Thank you. Over to you, Soleil.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. So, my name is Sole Kirko. I am also one of the tutors at the School of Intuition and Healing. I'm based in the UK, so I teach in London and online. And once upon a time, I was a student as well of the healing course. And the course has completely transformed not just my energy, but the rest of my life as well. So, I've been so grateful to be able to share my passion for energy and the teachings from the healing course with students for quite a few years now. I also teach tarot at the school, so some of you might know me from that part of my teaching work. Really excited to be here tonight. There's going to be a really lovely conversation. So, yeah, thank you, and really looking forward to chatting with you all.
Well, Dennis, thank you very much. My partners in crime and chaos, as we would say at certain times. I'm going to start off with a question really for Dennis. And Dennis, energy management. I would love you to explain, demonstrate, or whatever. What is the fundamental in that? Give us an example of what are the fundamental or an exercise that really can show us what it is.
Let's do something quite simple as a kind of a demonstration. So if you will place one hand on your heart and you place your other hand on your navel, doesn't matter which hand in which direction. And then just think of relaxing your shoulders down, and I invite you to just gently close your eyes. And then just think of, ask yourself right now, how am I feeling right now? So get a sense of how you're feeling and acknowledge the first thing that comes to mind or your strongest feeling. And then ask yourself, where in my physical body is it located? Take your attention to wherever you can locate it. Doesn't matter if it's in your knee, your shoulder, your lower back. Just begin to notice or observe without any judgment wherever that sensation resides. And then name the energy sensation. So keep it simple. Perhaps it's a tightness or pain, or it could be joy or expansiveness. And as you keep observing, ask for any insights from this energy sensation. So just take a moment to open yourself up to any information. Suspending judgment. And then just express your gratitude for any information you've received, anything that you've learned. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Just give a moment for everyone to come back. So that's just a little example of how we might recognize the energy within ourselves.
That's really lovely. I'd love to see in the chat what different people experienced through that and getting a sense. You know what was so lovely about that, Dennis, was just the ability to pause for a minute and just to stop and pause in these busy days that we have. And you know, I've really been spending a lot of time talking about, because the community knows me, that's what I do when things come into my mind, is around this world that we're in right now, this overstimulating. I've never been more overstimulated. There is the telephone, there is, WhatsApp, there are all these stimulations. Some of it is connection, which I believe we crave, but social media, just stimulation, the ability to get information at the drop of a hat. I was talking to somebody just as an example the other day. When I was a young person, we had to go to the library to get information. I can look at a building and just say, what is this building? What is its history? Blah, blah, blah. And it comes up on my AI in seconds. Whereas that information would have taken a day to go to the library, free time, etc., and looked in the encyclopedia and found it and not found it there and had to go to another library. And how information came to us in a much slower, organic way. I love the fact that it's so fast. I love that I have all this information at our fingertips. But I'm curious to ask the panel, how are we right now as a human species? And I'm going to put this to Soleil. How are we able to regulate our nervous system in this crazy world that we find ourselves?
So I actually looked this up because it's interesting to experience energy and it's interesting to get intuitive downloads and information. But I thought, let's look at the data. Let's look at some science for a moment. So I looked this up and I was shocked to find out from some quite reputable research that an average individual in any given day either touches, tap, or swipes their phone 2,600 times per day. 2,600 times per day. And we check our phone on average 58 times per day. If we are maybe office workers and we deal with emails, we deal with around checking our emails between 70 and 120 times per day. So no wonder that our energy feels so fragmented. It's not just our attention span. It's not just the fact that every time that we interrupt our flow thoughts, we need to bring ourselves back to the previous task, to our previous state of being. Our energy is also distracted and overstimulated. And on the other side of that, we hear so much about isolation, about how there is an isolation pandemic, especially in big, busy, crowded cities, how people feel extremely lonely, how, again, I've looked this up because I have a lot of anecdotal evidence from this, from discussing with clients and students. But apparently, 1 in 4 adults worldwide reports feeling lonely. And loneliness is now recognized by the World Health Organization as a major public health concern. So, on one hand, we are very distracted and overwhelmed in our energy, and then on the other hand, we're very isolated. So that when we come into contact with other people, it's almost like we have lost the ability of interacting energetically with other energy fields. So those two polarities, I think, make it extremely difficult for us to come back to our center, whether we are connecting with others, whether we're trying to reconnect with ourselves, coming back into our grounding, into our center, and even knowing what that is extremely difficult. I'm going to say as difficult as it's always been. Perhaps we're all feeling a little bit envious of medieval peasants that had quite a calm routine with their chores and their seasonalities and just following nature and a much simpler lifestyle.
Yeah. Soleil, thank you so much. And those statistics are quite frightening. And I would say that mine are probably more than that because I'm a bit of an obsessive, addictive personality. So I'm kind of going, that's the average. I have to up my game because I would be operating at above the average. And of course, people would be doing that below. But I think that is even more reason why we need to be coming back into our groundedness, back pausing. I think pause for me is saving my life right now in terms of overstimulation, like just pausing, going for a walk without my phone. And then, of course, we go into environments with this energy of our own. And Dennis, do you want to talk us a little bit? I mean, would you like to comment on the overstimulation too? And then we can go into how we go into an environment. Why don't you tell us how you feel about what you do and how you manage your energy in these extraordinary times?
Absolutely. So if we go back to the school's teachings, then I think one thing that really helps students amazingly is the gap process, Cindy. So you mentioned
Mm,
grounding. So, when we do the courses and we work, we learn to ground, we learn to attune, which is connecting with divinity or source, and we learn to protect our energy. So I think if there's one thing that students learn and really transform through is that gap process.
mm,
So I literally do my gap process in the morning to begin with, and possibly several times throughout the day. So possibly, let's say you love shopping, so you very happily go to the mall. You know the shops you want to go to. You're going to go for coffee. You're going to spend the morning at the mall, but when you leave the mall, you feel frazzled. So even though you enjoy shopping and you've had a lovely time, you feel totally frazzled. And that could be because you're sensitive to all the energies that are going on in the mall. So many people, so much overstimulation, so many products to look at, so many colors, so many lights, and that just leaves you feeling pretty drained. So if you know about the gap process, you can literally ground yourself, connect, protect your energies, and then go to the mall. And hopefully you'll leave feeling, totally balanced, totally okay without any problem. So I think the gap process is a big one, and also daily meditation. So when we do any course processes, we're taught to meditate daily, create a lovely daily program. If you can't meditate, then we do sort of short pauses or short mindfulness exercises, and that's the way to go.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm curious around pause and contemplation and just leading off and going, as I said, we would kind of go, and how important that is at this time, the pause and in this world in which we're living, that is definitely changing, I feel, quite rapidly around us. Talking about pause and contemplation, Sole, what are your feelings, thoughts about this, and are you practicing this?
Yes and no. So yes is I do, not as much as I would like to, and I think it's really important to be honest about it, and to be also realistic. So there are days when we can pause and reflect for maybe 10, 15 minutes. There are days when we can do it for an hour. There are days when even 30 seconds seems impossible. Um, I think what's important, and Dennis talked about it, we refer to energy management and meditation and visualizations, and very often we refer to them as synonyms, but there are differences, right? So, meditation is an umbrella term, and you can meditate and pause in so many different ways. It's not only about crossing your legs and being quiet and being silent with your eyes closed. We can find peace and pause in physical activities like cooking or gardening or walking. And visualizations certainly can be very beneficial, especially for those of us who really have that visual imagination and enjoy being in those beautiful landscapes of the mind. But it is important that we ground in those steps into the grounding, the clearing, the protection. Otherwise, we might find that although we have paused, we feel perhaps a little bit more unsettled than when we started. So, when we think about pausing, I always find that I ask myself, what type of pause do I need? Do I need a pause where is silence? Do I need a pause where I need to turn the lights off because I feel overstimulated by the lights? Do I need a pause from my family? Do I need a pause from my clients? Do I need a pause from my phone? So, really trying to figure out the quality, the what, rather than just the quantity of that pause. It's really important in the same way as rest is not just about sleeping. Pausing and space and calm is something that I would encourage everyone to really explore in terms of what is it, what type of pause do I need now? Is it silence? Is it distraction from what I've been doing? That can be so beneficial.
So it's that intentional pause and
Yeah.
the kind of, this is what's going on in my energy right now. This is the environment I find myself in. Um, how do I just find a
Yes.
way to come back? You know, really
And can
interesting.
I just add to that as well, Cindy? So,
Yeah.
exactly what Soleil said about, cooking or gardening or anything like that. We mustn't forget the power of music or the power of sound. So you can create a lovely podcast of your favorite music, whether it's classical or binaural beats or, whatever it is. And then at any stage, if you've got the time, pop on some headphones, zone out, and just listen to the music. And it's also quite nice. You also mentioned silence, Soleil. So it's really nice to listen to the silence between the sounds that you're listening to. So sound is a vibration that travels through space, and there's always gaps in between the sounds. So if you can tune into that silence, that's actually quite a beautiful thing as well. I think it goes back to Eckhart Tolle. If you read The Power of Now, which is like pretty old now, but quite a classic. In the beginning of his book, he says, read between the lines. And then he has little symbols of pause as well. So not only are you reading and stimulated, but you take time to pause, get silent, and reflect on what you're doing. Yeah.
I think for me, that the silence between the noise is where I actually connect to a higher consciousness. For me, that ability, that intuition, that feeling part of the oneness or being attuned, if I can do that, I can feel that energy like within me. If as long as because to stop the busy head and all the stimulation around, often to get that disconnects me from source and brings me into so that disconnect of self, just pausing and doing that. And I think contemplation is I have a very busy mental body that is thinking and doing so many different things on many different levels, but actually bringing issues into my heart space and not responding as quick as I'm getting information. So that pause and not responding like this and really allowing my connection to source and that heart energy to come in has been really needs to be conscious. And actually, once you train yourself to do that, like not if you feel an energy that is difficult in your energy, and I know this sounds like, yeah, we all know this, but actually being in a habit with our ability to respond to things quickly is really wait until that's sitting in a place and that contemplation, holding something in the heart space before responding. And just saying, I'll get back to you on that tomorrow. I need to hold this for today. I actually say I need to contemplate it now. I think people know. Let me contemplate that. I'll respond tomorrow. And that has helped me immensely. And it's become a habit not to respond. I actually get quite surprised when I respond. And that's been a game changer for me in this.
Mm. I would also add to that, Cindy, because I think that's such a good point that you're making. This technique or approach is not only for problem solving, it is not only for difficult or layered situations, or it's like, oh, I need to solve this issue. Let me pause and think. It works beautifully in those circumstances. But we are all so pulled in like 1,000 different directions and always on the back foot. And we live by our inbox, our phone, our calendars, our kids' schedules, etc., etc. What I found that is so powerful is set a contemplation for the week of whatever topic you like. It can be a feeling, it can be an experience in your life, it can be the universe, it can be nature, it can be the nature of friendship, it can be anything that you like. And allowing yourself in those in between spaces to reflect, what does friendship mean to me? Who are my closest friends? What makes me a great friend to others? What do I want to invite into the friendship energy that I hold for the rest of the year? Having that theme, not just as a problem solving tool, but to give yourself spaciousness, to remind yourself of who you are, like to allow yourself to think about who you are as a person, your identity, how you want to show up in the world, rather than always being reactive. I think that is so precious and powerful. And again, I feel maybe I have a little bit of nostalgia for the old times. I feel like, imagine in ancient Greek times where they could just, walk around discussing philosophy. Wasn't that beautiful? I would have loved to be there. Probably like a rose-tinted glasses, thinking back about the future now. But like, how beautiful would it be to have like our morning coffee instead of being emails or text messages, to check in with our friends. what do you think about the nature of the universe? Wouldn't that be a lovely thing to do first thing in the morning?
Mm.
Tricky, you're right. I'm so overstimulated with information, but I hear you, and I think I think that is such a good point. And also taking time to smell the roses. It's that going back to the mindfulness practice of eating and enjoy, like eating on the hop, the amount of not cooking as much as we used to. All these things are so convenient. Even shopping, like buying online versus going and touching a fabric, going and spending time, with choice online. I mean, boom, there's this massive choice. And I believe we're changing. And so coming back to ourselves, I think, is really important. When we do
Can
get
I?
out of our, yes, Dennis,
So
sure.
I'm just thinking, just jumping in on that note, Cindy. Sorry to stop your stride, but we have five senses, and we can actually use our five senses to bring ourselves towards ourselves. So you can do this. I'll just give you a quick overview. You can do this while you're walking outside, or you can do it while you're sitting at your desk in the middle of the day. Okay, so at any stage you can do this. And let's give you an example. So let's say I'm sitting at my desk now. I just choose one object and I focus on that object. Okay, so now I'm using my sense of sight. And I look at this object without judgment and I relax myself and I look at the colors, I look at the shape, I look at the way the light's falling on it and what have you. And while I'm doing that, I'm focusing on that one thing with my sight, and everything else just settles and comes to a standstill around me. So your body starts relaxing, your mind starts relaxing. Then I might switch to my ears. And what sounds can I hear around me that are close by? Okay, a little bit of traffic noise, maybe a TV at the moment. Then I expand my hearing. Can I hear dogs barking in the distance? And so you go with your hearing sense. And then you go through all your different senses, from your sense of smell to your taste to your touch. And by the time you've done that for 5 minutes, your mind's relaxed, you're calmer, you're feeling centered and within yourself. And it just brings you into the now. So you've stopped thinking about the past, you've stopped thinking about the future. And just for those 5 minutes, you brought yourself into the now space. So just a little exercise to perhaps take on.
I think that's vitally important. Um, I'm curious around our energy and how it gets influenced by other energies, and just bringing up this topic because I think this is really interesting around energy management. And I'd love to talk about um, how our energy can shift and change by the media we have around. So I'd like to pick a topic rather than picking up these other energies and just how you're experiencing these now. And I'd go with Sola and how we can assess a little bit what is ours, what is theirs, that kind of, what is happening for you in this changing world that we're in right now.
Mm. I think first of all, we need to realize that our energy in itself is like a little cosmos, right? A little ecosystem. We're not always the same vibration. We typically are in a range. Even when we don't get influenced by external situations or people, etc. We have different cycles in our body, whether it is hormonal, whether it is aging, whether it is what we ate, whether it is the time of the day. So we will feel differently within ourselves. So getting a sense for who we are and getting a sense for who we are at different stages of our day, our week, the month, the year, it's quite important in itself. And then everything that is around us has an impact on us, whether it is situations, people, places, conversations, different nature. Like, and this, when I say it has an impact, it can be a positive, a kind of neutral, or a negative impact, depending on where we are and what we're experiencing. But we all have that. If I ask you, like, think about that place that makes your heart grow, that look, maybe it's a holiday location, maybe it is a childhood memory, or going to that special place that makes your heart grow. It might be like a beautiful seaside location that you used to go on holiday with your grandparents with. It might be a place where you go and walk every single morning for your daily walk. We all have environments and people and situations that make us feel expanded and more at peace and almost like more like ourselves. And then we all have situations and people and places that make us feel contracted into our energy field, or almost like polluted, almost like there is something that we are carrying with ourselves that doesn't quite feel as attuned. And by the way, this is normal. Like, even I'm going to kind of ask, but also speak for all the three of us. I feel like we're still all experiencing this, right? It's not like you become like an energy healing tutor or a healer, and it's like, yeah, you're perfect in your vibration at all times. I wish. And if you do are, please let me know. I want the secret. But it is more about recognizing those shifts. And something that is really important, imagine that you are driving a car and you take the wrong turn. And then rather than correcting course immediately, and so turning back into your course at the next available opportunity, you continue turning other, taking other random turns. And before you know, you're so far away from where you used to be. So part of energy management and the regularity and discipline of energy management is about realigning yourself after that turn that took you off center, before it's so impactful in our field that then it's almost impossible to figure out how to get back.
Mm, mm. And you just remind me, and I think that we hear the word overwhelmed often. I feel so overwhelmed today. And I think this is really the point of regulation, Soleil, where how do we come back to that grounded space? How do we come back to our center before it all just becomes too much? And as I say, and I think the even younger people are really, with just this word overwhelmed. How do we center? How do we contain that? Dennis, I mean, you haven't had you. What do you feel about this?
Um, I tend to think it's really nice so it's about awareness of yourself, right? So it's really nice to get curious about what makes you feel like what Sele mentioned, what brings you joy possibly, and then start creating a list of what makes you feel balanced, what brings you joy. Like a lot of people feel really balanced in nature, so you can sort of make a list. Okay, I really love going to the park, or I really love swimming in the sea, and then create a whole list of things that when you're feeling down or you're feeling out of balance or you're feeling off center, you can take out your list and say, okay, I love doing that. When last did I do it? Okay, it was quite some time ago. Let me remind myself that I love that. It makes me feel good, and let me take some time to go and do it. So if when you're joyful and you're feeling good and you create that list over time, then it's there for you when you absolutely need it. So for instance, if I'm feeling really down, I know counterintuitively, if I start being grateful and focusing on gratitude for anything, for the air that I breathe and what have you, and then just keep focusing on gratitude, at some stage, I'm hopefully going to feel a little bit more uplifted. So I think that might be quite a nice tool to do. Yeah.
I'd like to move the energy management conversation onto protection, and how kind of protection people go, well, you get what you fear, and things like that. So I'd like to bring up the controversial conversation of how we protect our energy. And I'm going to hand the baton straight to you, Sola, and ask you about your thoughts on protection, and are we fearful, and what are we scared of, and
It is such a, I feel like you're right, it's a controversial topic, right? Because there is this theory that we attract what something that mirrors or matches our vibration. So if we are in fear or we feel concerned, then we contract our vibration. And then, it's that thing like if I ask you not to think about a pink elephant, of course, we're all thinking about a pink elephant now. So if you're worried about something coming your way, your vibration is contracting. And then, there is this theory that that's what you are attracting then. You're attracting lower vibrations. For me, through the years, I've come to feel and learn that protection is a sense of ease within our energy, a sense of wholeness, a sense of being complete, and a sense of being peaceful in our vibration to a point where we really, in a very heart-centered way, we want to protect that peace. So it's not about pushing back others, it's not about being unkind, it's not about having our shield up. It's more about having so much kindness and respect towards our peace, our center, and all the hard work that we've done to maintain it, right? Whether it's our meditations, our gratitude, our healing sessions, our books and podcasts that we've been listening to, and having that sense of kindness towards our own energy and wanting to hold it gently but firmly, gently but firmly. And so very often when I teach about protection, there are so many beautiful techniques that we can use. We can use bubble of lights and cloaks and mirrors and all sorts of like very effective techniques that help us so much. We can work with crystals, with sound. There is just such a plethora of techniques that are very effective. But I always go back to the simplest intention, which is no thanks. So just the ability to say no thanks and just disconnecting from those energies, situations. And we all have, the mother-in-law, the colleague at work, the ex boyfriend or girlfriend. Like we all have those energies and situations where suddenly we feel like, oh no, no thanks. But I think the most important thing is really grounding ourselves into kindness and care towards our energy field rather than fear or that sense of I need to fight back. I need to push back. I need to shield. Because if we do that, we lower our vibration and we're constantly and we heighten the alarm systems in our nervous system. So then we go into the loop of being overstimulated, the flight or flight, etc. So that's what for me is one of the most comprehensive ways, quite simple and straightforward to look at protection.
beautiful. Thank you. We will come back to your questions at the end. So anyone who has questions, we will come back to them. Thank you for that question. Dennis, how about you? How do you work with protection, and what is most effective for you?
Okay, good. So I agree with Soleil 100%. Absolutely. That's a lovely broad view of it. I also like to think of boundaries as well. So I think you're also speaking to boundaries as well, Soleil. So we can have soft boundaries, we can have spongy boundaries, we can have rigid boundaries. So it's quite good. I think it's quite good when we're speaking about protection to come from the heart space. So, if you can come from a heart space, you're coming from a compassionate space. We say that the heart is the seat of the soul. So it's also kind of taking a soul perspective on things as well. So we can get caught up in mental dynamics. We can get caught up in sort of, ego fears and anxieties, which are very real. And obviously, they are there. But if you can drop into your heart space, it kind of gives you a bit of a raise in vibration. And then you also start taking away the sense of separation. So it's like not so much me and them. It becomes more like an us sort of space. So I drop into my heart, then I start looking for solutions. I start thinking about win-win situations, what's best for you, what's best for me, and then the boundaries become sort of a little bit softer, a little bit easier, but you also are able to keep them in place. So if I think of boundaries, it's kind of how do you allow people to treat you, and how do you treat other people? So sometimes the Soleil says you might need to just push back gently and say, no, I'm putting my foot down gently here. I'm not open to that. And sometimes you need to say, okay, it's for the greatest good. So I'm just going to go with it and see where it goes. So it's kind of being aware, knowing yourself to a degree, and then being able to make easy decisions because you've already thought things through to a degree. So boundaries, I think, are quite pertinent to protection. Yeah.
Well, I think we could go on talking about this for so long. For me, I just feel there that there are lots of basic things that need to be reinforced and practiced. Going back to basics in this changing world, I think is so vitally important. And I find myself trying to find simplicity in this world right now. And then also for me is what is that wholeness? And I really would like Soleil to just, Soleil, you always talk about, being whole and what is that wholeness. And I'd love you just to share some of that wisdom with the audience before we go on to having a look what we have available, and then we will go on to Q&A. So just so everyone has a bit of an idea of where we're going on this journey. I'd love to come back to you with that, Soleil.
Should we do a little exercise? Is
Well, I
that
think I think that would work really well.
Yeah, lovely. Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I think that's how we learn. The experiential works
Yes.
best, certainly
Yes.
for me.
Yes. Excellent. So
Perfect.
I invite you all to find a nice, comfortable position on your chair, on your floor, on your sofa. And we're not going to worry about having the perfect posture or to look good on camera. We're just going to allow ourselves to find a comfortable position and a comfortable, safe spot where we can just be. And just allowing ourselves to breathe out the day, the tensions, the worries, the rushing around, the responsibilities. And let's take just one moment to allow ourselves to fully arrive in the present moment, in the space surrounding you, and notice the smells, the sounds, the general feel of being in your surroundings. And also, how does it feel to be you right now? And try to be as present in this moment as you can. How does it feel to be you right now? And from there, bring your attention to the center of your chest, where your heart chakra is. Get a sense for your breathing, perhaps get a sense for your heartbeat, and get a sense for your overall energy and vibration. And from your heart space, bring your attention to your base. Your base chakra, if you don't know, is placed at the very bottom of your spine. So bring your attention there. And from there, visualize a strong root growing downwards towards the floor and further down. Visualize it going downwards, all the different layers beneath you. and allow it to grow as deep as it feels safe and appropriate for you at this time. And notice the gentle but firm pool of grounding energy connecting you with the planet, with Mother Earth, with that peaceful, healing vibration. And allow grounding energy to rise into your energy system, into your body and all layers of your energy, like a gentle but steady wave that washes upwards and makes you feel more present, more supported. And allow this wave to rise into your feet and legs and hips and all the way up into your belly and upwards, all the way into your torso and back into your heart center and all the way up into your shoulders and throat and your head, all the way to the very top of your head. And really feel your vibration, feel your body. Feel that sense of being here and present, the entirety of you. Notice the back of your body as well, not just the front. Notice the right and the left side. And then from the very top of your head, where your crown chakra is, set the intention to reach the highest source of light that is available to you at this time. The universe, spirit, God, or simply the highest, brightest vibration that you can reach at this time for your highest good and the highest good of all involved. And feel that beautiful, steady flow of energy pouring into your crown, where your head is, and downwards into your head and throat and heart center. And really feel that sense of peace and calm and alignment and oneness. Feel this vibration into your heart center. Notice how it is to be you, how it is to be present and held and connected. And from this space of groundedness and connection and expansion, as our energy is nice and open now, we want to set the intention to release anything that is not yours, anything that is old, anything that doesn't serve you anymore. We're going to use a beautiful cleansing rainfall of white light that washes away all of this energy that we are ready to let go of. At the front of your energy, at the back, right and left side, above and below you, really cleansing and clearing the entirety of your physical body and all the energetic layers. So the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. And as we release and cleanse, we also set the intention that all this energetic debris is safely released and transmuted. And notice the difference into your field. You might feel a little bit lighter or a bit brighter, or just a little bit more like yourself. Now we bring ourselves back again into our heart center and visualize a firm but kind bubble of protection all around us. A beautiful bubble of protection that is large enough to contain not just your physical body, but the entirety of your energy, above and below you, at the front, at the back, right and left side. And we feel this protective bubble of light with some beautiful silvery and gold energy that feels sparkly and bright and protective all around. And make sure that the bubble is comfortable enough for you to be in. It's not too tight. And once again, bring yourselves back into your heart space and notice how it feels to be whole, to be grounded, to be clear into your field and protected. And when you're ready, allow the wisdom of your body to bring you back into your surroundings. Little stretch and open your eyes.
Oh, Solly, that was beautiful. If everyone can just pop into the chat just to, again, just allow that beautiful energy from the earth and source to come in. It's really, really lovely. Thank you so much. So I'm going to pop and share a screen with you because we really feel at this time it's important for us to go back to basics, to reconnect. And we're going to be doing two things. Soleil is going to be running a in-person two-day work, morning and afternoon workshop. Energy management in the morning, cord cutting in the afternoon. And just to say, we will be back this time next week to talk about cord cutting, but just for people to prepare, we've got a lovely early bird special to do that. Dennis is going to be doing this online. He's going to take a day for the energy management and he's going to do a day for the cord cutting, and that's going to be online. We will send these out. I'm going to pop the link now. I just wanted to share that with you. And I'm popping the links there if anyone is keen. We're really keen to offer to the community online and in person in London, bring our communities together. We've got an open day coming up in South Africa, so we're going to connect then. So we thought we won't do that. We'll offer the online, etc. So we're looking forward to that. That's on the 13th of September. But does anybody, before we finish off tonight, does anyone have any questions? We had one question which I thought was really good, and whoever wants to answer this, how do you know when you should protect yourself from something versus when it's fear that you need to face and work through? Either one of you, please pick that up.
Okay, I'll go briefly. So I think possibly we can look at this as an outside influence and an inside influence. So protection would possibly be outside negativity, just like we've spoken about on this session. And then fear would come from within you. So possibly you can look at those two things. Working with fear, obviously, it depends on the level of the fear. So, maybe you need to get someone professional to assist you with it, but you can certainly do contemplation that we've spoken about, perhaps journaling, conversations with people that matter to you. And yeah, there's various different ways that you can tackle it. So that would be my easy answer. Protection from outside influences, fears are possibly inside influences. Solly, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I always like to I sometimes describe myself as a very keen 2-year-old toddler that always asks why. So when we feel fear, I always, or any feelings, any emotions really, asking myself what's underneath that. It's fear because my emotional, physical, mental well-being, spiritual well-being could be in jeopardy. Or is it fear because there is an underlying discomfort, because it's unknown, because maybe it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone? So going that level deeper and taking time to journal and reflect on the deeper layer of the emotions, and especially with fear, it can be quite overpowering and we just feel and experience that quite strongly. But going on the layer underneath. And of course, if there is a real danger to you and your well-being on any layer, then it's really important that we do not just the energetic protection, but protection on all levels. But if there is something that perhaps has an opportunity for growth or an opportunity to challenge ourselves, then that's something that maybe, again, without triggering our nervous system and causing more trauma along the way, it might be worth exploring.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I'm going to end tonight by saying that because everything is energy and that we are made up of that as well, I think that then everyone has that energy. So we are all of one. And coming to that concept in the present moment is your lifetime's work. So being present in this moment, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past, and being in your energy and being present. And for me, the only time that I can feel that is when I'm on a surfboard catching a wave, is being in the present moment. And for me, that is the utopia of energy management. I'm not worried about the future, although I'm worried about that wave dumping me and the board landing on my head and me making it and looking cool, like catching the wave right into the shore. That is all I'm thinking about. So that is what it is for me. So everybody, I'm glad it's not goodbye. We're going to see you next week. The three of us are back next week. So looking forward to that. So I'm going to say goodbye and thank you to the panel. Each of them can say goodbye to you too. And there we go. 2 minutes over time, no problem.